Hey, good afternoon or good morning. Here we are a couple of days after Christmas, actually about 4 or 5 days after Christmas. Beautiful day here in Virginia. And a lot of you looked at my Flint strikers I had put out online. So I think I was just, got a lot of questions. I think I'd just like to go ahead and make a video on how I make these things. First and foremost, we start out with old files. And what I have here is an old file. I've made a couple of them this morning out of this. I get these old files at yard sales, rummage sales, antique stores. They're really high carbon steel, and in order to make a Flint striker, you have to have high carbon steel. If you just take mild steel, it'll never ever throw a spark. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and show you how I make one out of these here. It's going to be a little bit of a long video, but we'll get right to it. First thing we're going to do is come over here. I got my coal forge up here. I do have a Buffalo Forge 400 or 200 blower I'm using. This forge does have an electric blower, but for this, in small stuff, I actually like to go ahead and run this manual blower. So we've got our fire coked down already, and so what I'll do is I'll get her going, and we'll get to making a Flint striker. And if anybody's ever seen any of these sparks coming out of here, if you see them right there, one of those gets you. It adds a new theme to the word twerking. I think that's what they call it. So we're going to put that Flint striker right in there. The unique thing about high carbon steel is you can't get it too hot. If you get it too hot, you're going to ruin it very quickly. So what we'll do is we'll get that going in there. We've got that good bed of coal, I should say coke. I've turned that coal into coke by heating it and burned the impurities out. So down inside there, it gets really hot. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to my grandson. He's doing the videography today. So say hi, Louie.
Hi.
Okay. So any complaints on the videography, you can register with me and I'll take care of it. So as we come over here, we can see right there. Louie, go ahead and bring that in there a little bit closer to this fire. And you can see that heat down in there. We're probably about 2,000 degrees down in there right now. So we're going to go ahead and get this air going through here, get that coal cooking. Get her good and hot. We want to bring her up to basically about a non-magnetic heat. That'll actually allow me to move that metal. We'll give it a little bit hotter. Now the other unique thing about working with small items like this is a lot of in and out of the fire, because the minute you lay it on the anvil, it loses so much of its heat. So you'll see a lot of in and out, and the smaller it gets, the less time it takes to heat, but the quicker it loses its heat. Okay, so we got her nice and hot there. We're just going to go ahead and start shaping her a little bit. There we go. Okay, put her back in there. Okay, she's good and hot. Okay, many of you have heard the term, strike the iron while it's hot. Well, if that gets cold, all you're doing is building muscles, making noise. While I'm heating this up, a little bit of information. Louis showing the anvil here. A little bit of information on the anvil there. That anvil actually made about 1849, 1850 in Sheffield, England. It's called a Sheffield. It's sometimes referred to as a mouse hole because of these two holes right here. But this one over here is actually an original mouse hole. And it's made mouse hole forge in England. Actually, I think the town's called Mouse Hole. This is also about 1840s, 1850s. The unique thing about them, they're all cast except for the steel plate that comes along there. There, iron's hot. Now, as you can see right here, I'm drawing this out. Now, this hammer, one side of this hammer is actually rounded, and the other side's flat. That rounded portion actually allows me to move that metal to make this curve right here. So we'll go ahead and put her back in there, and you'll start seeing her come to shape here. I could probably buy high carbon bar stock and make this a little bit faster, but to me this is kind of good. I get to repurpose, reuse the old files, and they get one more life out of them. Back in the fire. Now, occasionally as we go along, the impurities, there's actually inside a coal, there's a lot of different metals, just minute particles, and they'll actually go to the bottom of your fire, and they'll form what's called clinkers. This bucket right down here is actually designed to catch these clinkers. And the reason they call them clinkers, if you shake them, they actually sound like little pieces of metal clinking, and that's exactly what they are. So what we have in here is we have a clinker buster. So I turn this, you can hear it grinding and breaking those clinkers off on the bottom of your fire. And if you look right here, Louie, you got it right here? So if you look right there, when I hit this dump gate, those are all clinkers. And you want to get them clinkers out of the fire because they really make it hard to work with. If you never cleaned them, they'd eventually just weld themselves to the bottom of your fire pit, and then you couldn't get any air up in there. Okay, right now while we got this hot, we're going to go ahead and cut that original tang off. And I'm just using what's called a hot cutter. And simply going to put it right here. And I'm going to hit this. I want to get a good cut in it. Then I'm going to put it in my vise and simply just break it off. Right there. I always like to pull these out of the vise, put them somewhere where the somebody don't grab them or you don't bump into them when they're hot. I like setting them on this wood stove there because it is hot. Okay, back in the fire. Kind of amazing how much air you can get out of these old blowers. This one here, probably built around the turn of the century. The last one, the one before that, probably around 1900. I have several other ones that are quite a bit older, and some of them that are newer. So now we're going to start working down the other end of this. We'll get this down to the basic shape. I don't know nothing about how big a video I can put on Facebook, but we'll get this down to the basic shape. I'll stop the video and then we'll start a part 2, I guess, and do the finish up. All right, if you come over here and look at this right here, so we're going to stop right here and we'll put this one up and then I'll finish it on phase 2. But right here, what you can see, that I've got my basic shape. I'm going to continue to draw these out, continue to draw them out. This will be a fairly large striker, but I'll draw them out. Then I'll put some curls on them just for ornamental reasons, and then I'll pull them back in. Then once I'm done with that, then I still have to go through the quenching process. And we'll explain that when I get onto that part 2. Plus, I think my cameraman needs a break. All right.